Ég ætla að kynna hérna smá innslag sem það er viðtal sem ég tók í síðustu viku og hefur nú verið þýtt við Stuart Dixon og Graham Massey sem eru höfundar Vatnsmýrartillögunnar þeirra sem vann og ég veit það er búið að flytja sýninguna sem vann í Hafnarhúsi yfir í Háskóla Íslands. Hún var vist að fara upp á Háskólatorginu en sem sagt hérna við sjáum smá brot af því sem þeir voru að vinna svo heyrum við viðtal við þá eftir. Kristján er spennt fyrir þessu.
Ó borg mín borg, ég lofa ljóst þín stræti, þín lágu hús og allt sem fyrir ber, og þótt svo tárið oft minn vanga væti, von mín eina undin þér.
Þeir eru komnir hingað Graham og Stuart, arkitektarnir frá Edinborg sem unnu Vatnsmýrarsamkeppnina sem fór fram núna og hefur vakið mikla athygli. Við ætlum að fá þá til þess að útskýra svolítið fyrir okkur tillögurnar. I was wondering if I could get you to explain with your own words what your basic idea is about this area that is sometimes referred to now as 102 Reykjavik.
Sure. Well, I think actually the starting point for us when we started to look at this project was really, it's actually about a bigger issue than just 102 or Vatnsmýri. It's actually about Reykjavik, and how it portrays itself to the rest of the world. Because these days, the cities compete against one another for business or, tourists, people to come and live even. So I think more and more it's like a competitive world that we're living in. And, Reykjavik's got a great start because 101 is something which is probably recognised the world over. So to have such a big, expansive land which potentially can be developed adjacent to it is an opportunity which the city realised to take. So the idea was was really to try to build on what 101 is and what Reykjavik is, and really try to turn it into a real sort of international destination. Try to give it the best of everything that a city can possibly have. And part of that is obviously about maybe starting to increase the density of Reykjavik, because it's quite a low density city.
Yes.
And actually, one of the very first times I was up in Iceland, I heard a fact, I don't know whether it's true or not, but it was mentioned to me that Reykjavik has got the same, it covers the same area as Paris. But actually, the population is a lot less.
Yes, 10 times lower, or even
probably more actually.
Yeah.
So I think the question here is like we can actually start to address these sort of issues, and obviously these days sustainability is another big driver for how cities need to develop. There's a lot of issues associated with that,
yes.
And part of that debate is really about increasing density. So there's far less reliance on private transport, i.e. the car.
Yeah.
And perhaps more opportunity to walk, cycle.
You don't think it's a good idea for the city to expand more than it has already?
I don't think it needs to. I think, certainly with Vatnsmýri there's a potential to, bring it back in. I think it's a debate which I think has been going on in Europe, certainly for the past, 20, 30 years. For a long time, cities did sort of, go outwards. But I think people have now started to realise it's actually good to come back in the way, and more people are coming to live back in the centre where they can actually, make use and benefit of all the amenities that a town centre offers.
I think the thing beyond that it's about offering opportunities in terms of lifestyle, and the current suburban model offers only one real opportunity. And so creating a more urban centre offers potential to live and work in similar locations and to enjoy lots of amenities together rather than districts that are separated from one another.
Yes. So you think it's important to use this area for something else than an airport like it is now?
Well, I think more and more pressure will come. We don't know how long the process might take, but I think it might almost be inevitable, purely through economics, that this land will sort of dictate the airport might actually move.
Yes. Well, with the price of gasoline and environmental issues and whatever.
Absolutely. And also the value of the land, you know, that because it's so central, that the value is going to go up and up and up.
Yes.
And more that will be something which can be utilised.
How do you describe your ideas? What activities do you see in this area?
Well, I mean, it really has to be a completely mixed-use area. You know, people have to live there, they have to work there, they've got to play there, they've got to shop there. So it really has to be everything that a city can offer, and sort of condensed into a smaller area.
So you have flats, you have shops,
Absolutely,
you have offices, you have also you have gardens and you have a lake there.
Yeah. I mean, I think you know, Reykjavik is sort of like a big town at the moment, and I think once you become a city, you tend to live sort of slightly differently. And you know, because we're proposing, you know, quite a dense neighbourhood, the people in that neighbourhood might need a place to escape to, almost, you know, a bit of breathing space, and that's what the gardens and the lakes are for. It's just to, you know, provide a little bit of escape from an urban environment.
And you also have a harbour there for small boats.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just recreational, so it's trying to make people enjoy, you know, where they live.
And to offer many different opportunities as well.
Yes. I noticed that the houses aren't very high.
Sure.
I have this idea, my theory is, or it's not my theory, but I think you can't build very high in this, because of the sun.
Absolutely.
It's not viable.
Yeah, I mean, it's really important to remember that. I mean, we're not in the south of France or Italy or Greece or, you know, wherever. I mean, we're in Reykjavik here, and, you know, the light is low in the sky, and for a long part of the year there's, you know, very little. So as well as actually making sure we proportion the building blocks to, you know, to maximise the sunlight and the daylight. We also did start to think about, you know, the days when it is dark, and so we did have a strategy for lighting, certainly the centre of Vatnsmýri. I know that you have a sort of a festival of light here, and I think you know, hopefully we can build on that at Vatnsmýri.
So you can. Yeah, use the light in the...
Yeah, absolutely. So they can all use different colours and different techniques to, you know, sort of highlight and dramatise the neighbourhood.
There's also another thing it's about connections.
Yeah,
connections with the old part of town and with the rest of the city.
Yeah, I mean,
how do you solve that?
That's, I think, a fundamental issue, really, and connections between the city centre and the airport, if it was to be moved, having a high-speed link of some sort is a crucial question. And then also linking back into especially Reykjavik 101. And I think for them to coexist as in a strong relationship together, it's fundamental that they're linked together, and so we extend a number of the road networks that exist in the city centre through into the site, and we...
You extend Snorrabraut, I have noticed. Yeah. That is something I'm quite fond of in your...
We actually heard that there was a plan to do that in 1937. We only found that out yesterday or the day before.
Yeah.
So, I mean, obviously they were thinking about these things a long time ago as well, so... I think it really backs up you know, it's a sensible idea.
But we need an airport.
Sure, absolutely. But I mean, I think as Stuart said, I mean, distance is now sort of more measured in time than, you know, kilometres in some ways. So if, you know, we can set up a high-speed link to either Keflavik or another location, if you can get there in 10 minutes, you know, I think 10 minutes isn't a long distance, as it were.
Do you think that in the end your ideas and some of the other ideas in this competition are realistic?
I think we certainly set out to be realistic about it, and I think, you know, for a master plan of this scale to actually work, it has to be quite robust. You know, it has to be adaptable. It has to be able to take, you know, whatever's thrown at it over time. You know, the economic situation might change, so, you know, you can't really dictate, you know, all the architecture as such. What you need to set up is a framework which is strong enough that, you know, if there's a need for more apartments, say, than more offices, then it can accommodate that quite easily. And I hope we have got the starting point for that framework here.
Yes. So we have great opportunities.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
It can be the best city in the world.
Yeah.
What is it with you and Iceland? You also won a competition in Akureyri.
Yeah. I think I think maybe being in Scotland, we're not so far apart. You know, I think we can understand some of the issues that you have here. Obviously, landscape's an important thing up in Iceland, just as it is in Scotland. Again, we've got issues of climate. You know, we felt quite at home in the rain here the past few days, so we know how to deal with those sort of issues. And again, even light. I mean, it's a little bit further south Scotland, but you know, we've still got a lot of long, dark days too. So I think maybe we've got a good handle of how to deal with this type of environment.
And we live in a small country as well that we're very proud of, and so I think we have a common feeling about the importance of the capital city in terms of how you perceive your own country.
Yes. So, Stuart Graham, thank you very much for your work.
Thank you.
Thank you.